Hi everyone and good morning. Welcome to Coffee with Conti. Now I only say good morning because the intention was to get started early with you in the morning, and no matter what time of the day you're catching us, I do appreciate you taking the time to stop by. And I hope you enjoy a lot of the videos of late, a little something different each day, but all about Corvette. And today we feature a guy we talked about a couple of weeks ago. Remember the guy that was in charge of destroying all the 1983 Corvettes, but the night before he'd bought a new pair of boots, and when he came to the last car it started to rain and he goes, I'll catch that one in the morning. So he comes back in the next morning and the crusher that GM had sent him was gone. So he freaked out and he hid that last car behind the plant for 2.5 years. It was later found, saved, survived, and on display at the National Corvette Museum, a car that wasn't supposed to be here. That video link is down below in the description. And that guy, well, actually had a brush with Corvette history back in 1969. Today on the show, it is the 1969 Corvette ZL1 and the man who started it the very first time. In a hot and humid factory in St. Louis, Missouri during the month of September 1969, a legend was created, unbeknownst to the assembly workers. Coming down the line of a 50-year-old Chevy assembly plant was a bright yellow Corvette, just waiting to receive its heart and soul. Most Corvettes coming down the line had their engines delivered on a metal rack, grouped with other engines in sequence, but not this one. This particular one had to be hand-pushed to the engine area where a wooden crate was waiting. As a crowd of workers gathered around, they were like waiting to open a present from Santa on Christmas morning. The anticipation grew. Finally, the crate was opened to reveal its contents, an all-aluminum 427 engine block. This had been developed with racers in mind. After all the oohs and ahs, the engine was placed in its new home. Once all the connections were made and the fluids filled, it was time to start this beast up. That job came to one person, Ralph Monteleone. Ralph was an 18-year-old that grew up in the St. Louis area, and he was like most teenagers in the 60s. He loved fast cars, and on any given weekend, he could be found tearing up the 2-lane blacktop in his 1966 Marina Blue Chevelle that was supposed to have a 396 in it. Well, just like any other kid that wants to go faster, he was able to sneak a 427 in it. Now, most of you would think this was a dream job for an 18-year-old young man to drive Corvettes off the assembly line. Ralph commented, "The only reason I got that position, I was the new guy and nobody else wanted it." You see, back then, the job wasn't as glamorous as you think. The factory was not air-conditioned and the temperature in the plant in September in Missouri could easily reach triple digits. And when it came to the big block cars, well, they were hot, loud, and many didn't have air conditioning, and many didn't have seats. Now, when it was time to start the special Corvette, Ralph, carrying his wooden box to sit on, climbed inside and depressed the clutch. He made sure the shifter was in neutral and turned the ignition on. The dashboard started lighting up. The gauges came to life. As the anticipation built, Ralph turned the key to crank the engine. The engine started to turn. The higher octane fuel started to flow. And of course, after a few seconds, it did not start. Well, just like always back then, jiggle this, adjust that, add some fuel to the carburetor, a few more tries, then the beast came alive. With no side pipes installed, the roar blasted through the plant like a lion roaring in a cave. Now, something special happened to that 1969 Corvette 48 years later. It was back in 2017. Ralph stopped by to see that very car that is now owned by Rogers Corvette Center in Maitland, Florida. And yes, he started it again.
In the neutral. This is the 1969 ZL1. The first time it was started by this man. We were actually able to get him today. This is Ralph. And with the thanks of the guys at Rogers Corvette, the Judskis. From left to right, you have David Sr., David Jr., and Roger. I want to thank you all very much for letting us get this opportunity together. And that's what Corvetting's all about, the memories, the fun, and thank you guys for letting this happen.
Well, folks, I hope you enjoyed the upload today. What an incredible story and an amazing journey that we're still on with Corvette. Thanks again for watching. Now, tomorrow on the show, we're going to talk about the two most expensive C8 Corvettes in the world. This market is out of control. And I mentioned before that I was honored to be the judge for the C5 category for the online Corvettes at Corsa show brought to you by Corvette Cleveland. Well, I'm going to show you the entries tomorrow, get your opinion on who you think should win. Thanks, you guys. Have a great day, and I'll see you tomorrow.